Davao City 1st District Representative Paolo Duterte will not show up before the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, saying the body has no jurisdiction over him. In a letter dated December 3, Duterte states that he is not subject to the ICI's power as a sitting member of Congress. He says this because it was President Bongbong Marcos who established the ICI. As a creation of the executive branch, Duterte asserts that the constitutional separation of powers bars the ICI from including him in its mandate. Duterte also accuses the ICI of being Marx's tool to malign the Dutertes, particularly himself, his sister, Vice President Sara Duterte, and their father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. The lawmaker says the ICI must also investigate Marcos since former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldi Co implicated the president. In several video statements, Co accused the president of being complicit in the corruption scam and actually receiving kickbacks from infrastructure projects. President Marcos dismissed Co's accusations, saying the former lawmaker should return to the Philippines and prove his claims. Representative Duterte believes the ICI was created to supposedly save Marcos and his family and cover up their alleged misdeeds. The ICI for the past 2 months has been investigating alleged corruption in the government's infrastructure projects, particularly in flood control. Several lawmakers have been invited to shed light on their alleged involvement in the corruption scheme. Critics have raised concerns that flood control issues also hounded Representative Duterte's district, including projects implemented during former President Duterte's administration. On November 5, ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino claimed to have found irregularities in Davao River and Matina River flood control projects, which sit inside Duterte's district. 10 crew members of a cargo ship sunk by Yemen's Houthis in July have been released and flown from capital Sana'a to Oman. A Houthi rebels television channel reports that crew of the ship Eternity Sea have been released through Omani mediation. The rebel media adds that the crew members will be transported from Sana'a to Muscat. The channel later says 10 of the crew left Sana'a airport on Wednesday afternoon, December 3. Footage broadcast by Oman TV shows the crew arriving in capital Muscat, where Omani and Philippine officials received them. Earlier, the Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs said 9 Filipino crew members of the ship were set to be released by the Iran-backed group. Citing a Houthi security source, Agence France Presse reports that the crew's release was part of an agreement to repatriate 35 Yemenis stranded abroad. According to the source, an agreement was reached with the Omani side for the return of the sick and wounded who are abroad. The source explains that they will be handed over to Sana'a, while the Eternity Sea crew will be handed over to the Omani side. In July, Eternity Sea sank in the Red Sea after repeated attacks from Yemen-based Houthi militants using sea drones and rocket-propelled grenades. The bulk carrier was sailing under the flag of Liberia and carried 22 crew members. Eternity Sea is one of 2 commercial vessels sunk within days of each other in the Red Sea in July. The attacks were part of the Houthis' campaign against maritime traffic that they accused of having links to Israel. Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson clarifies that around 79 billion pesos has likely been lost to ghost flood control projects since 2016 and not 180 billion pesos as earlier announced. In a chance interview on Wednesday, December 3, Lacson notes that the initial figure of 180 billion pesos was an extrapolation.
Ang ghost kung i-extrapolate natin sa 30,000 plus na flood control projects, nasa 79 billion. Still huge, considering that we're talking of yung naabot ng AMLAC so far, as announced by the President, nasa mga 12 billion pa lamang yung pros and accounts.
In a press statement earlier Wednesday, the senator said that more than 180 billion pesos has likely been lost to ghost flood control projects dating back to 2016, not counting substandard ones. He said he and Senate Finance Committee Chair Sherwin Gatchalian arrived at this estimate based on some 10,000 projects inspected so far. Of that total, more than 600 were found to be ghost or non-existent. However, with the latest figure, Lacson says it appears that the updated report shows a total of 494 ghost projects and not 600. He maintains that the Senate is on guard and will not allow ghost projects to happen again in the 2026 budget.